Joining us live now from the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Nick, break down this deal for us.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's important to point out we don't have full transparency as to what the White House say they've agreed to at this point. But a Ukrainian official is saying that they have agreed terms with the United States, and the US has agreed back, according to them, about this deal. They framed it to us, they described it to us yesterday as a reconstruction deal for Ukraine, saying that the finalized draft yesterday that was sent didn't contain the security guarantees that Ukraine wanted, but had also taken out some of the thornier items that have been asked for them by the Trump administration, leaving some of those uglier details for later discussions, later paperwork. Now, we understand that another draft is now been something that they say has been agreed to, and some further evidence that we're moving forwards is that a Ukrainian official here says they've accepted a White House proposal for Zelensky to go to the White House on Friday. Asked about that, President Donald Trump said that he'd heard that Zelensky liked to come and see him. He said he was okay with that. And he said that Zelensky would like to sign the deal, saying it was a very big deal. That's not what you traditionally expect from a US president in terms of confirming something of this nature or even a meeting like that. So let's just accept the possibility things could still potentially go awry prior to this meeting. But it's a phenomenal change from a matter of days ago where they were involved basically in a war of words, a litany of falsehoods against the Ukrainian president from Trump. We've seen the French president Emmanuel Macron yesterday in the Oval Office clearly able to bring Trump closer towards European ideas of the need for security for Ukraine and for the need for American support for security on that continent itself. And indeed, after that meeting, Trump said that he would be signing this rare earth deal and would be inviting Zelensky to the Oval Office. So it does appear that the intervention of key European leaders, another on Thursday, the UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer, after announcing a huge boost to UK defence spending, will be meeting in the White House with Trump as well, that the Europeans are trying to remind Trump of the vitality of the United States' role in European security and indeed in supporting Ukraine here as well. But a lot is going to rest on the interpersonal relations between Trump and Zelensky, if indeed they do finally meet, as Zelensky clearly wants and Trump seems to be open to. These two men have been, frankly, in an acrimonious freefall for about a week or so. Clearly, Trump drawn more close to some of the thinking coming out of Moscow and their narratives about this war. He's at times reeled back on that. Whether or not he and Zelensky hit it off, though, is really going to be key, not only for that rare earth deal, which is really vital for continued US support here generally, but for the perception of how firmly Trump is behind Ukraine as they deal with continued Russian advances and indeed an improving US-Russia relationship.
And we'll see if that meeting does take place at the White House this Friday between Zelensky and Trump. We'll watch it all unfold. Nick Payton-Walsh reporting from Ukraine in Kyiv. Thank you very much. Let's discuss what's going on with Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. What's your reaction, first of all, to this apparent deal between the Trump administration and Ukraine that would grant the U.S. access to its rare earth minerals in return for U.S. involvement in a reconstruction fund for Ukraine?
Wolf, I have a lot of respect for your reporters, but this notion that we don't know what Trump is doing is nonsense. Donald Trump has been very consistent for years. He does not want to support Ukraine's bid for independence, and he and the people that work for him increasingly are literally just spinning Kremlin propaganda. Today, in one of our hearings, a nominee for the Department of Defense refused to say whether Russia had invaded Ukraine. Why? Because that is now the line of the Trump administration, to blame Ukraine for the war with Russia. This is an administration that every day is more and more consistently in bed with Kremlin interests. I don't know why, but it is making us a laughingstock all across the globe. I don't know anything about this deal over minerals, but I know that it will likely benefit U.S. oligarchs, U.S. mineral interests. And that seems to maybe be the defining ethos of our foreign policy today. What makes Donald Trump and his billionaire friends richer? So I think sometimes we think or pretend that this is normal international relations, that this is normal foreign policy, that Trump's playing one off against another. No, This is likely just more of the kleptocracy we're seeing here at home. This is likely just more of Donald Trump trying to make money for his billionaire friends, and Russia and Ukraine policy is now just fit into that frame.
As you know, President Zelensky is now coming to Washington this Friday. Why doesn't that give you, Senator, some renewed hope that the U.S. will, in fact, under Trump, continue to support Ukraine?
Because Trump has told us he's not going to support Ukraine. He literally single-handedly tried to kill support for Ukraine when we authorized it before he was president. He is every day blaming Ukraine for the war, calling Zelensky a dictator. Who knows why he's bringing Zelensky here? Maybe just to embarrass him in front of the entire world. Listen, this will be a disaster for the globe if we hand Ukraine to Russia. But every single day, it is clearer to all of us that Trump's intention is to ultimately give Russia everything they want. That's why they're parroting Russian propaganda on a regular basis.
While I have you, Senator, I want to get to some domestic issues, very important issues. House Republicans appear to be struggling right now to pass a budget blueprint due to potential cuts to Medicaid. Senator John Thune, the majority leader, seemed to suggest a continuing resolution may be necessary, a CR, continuing resolution. How do you see all of this playing out?
Well, there are two different issues, right? You have an annual budget that we are grappling with, and then you have this unique spending and tax bill that Republicans are trying to pass. That's the one they're having trouble passing tonight because it is a gutting of the Medicaid program. That's the program that insures 24% of Americans in order to fund a tax cut for billionaires and corporations. They are having trouble passing that bill because it is wildly unpopular. Nobody in this country wants to see the biggest healthcare insurance program in this country that insures seniors, working families, sick kids burned to the ground in order to hand Elon Musk and a bunch of his billionaire friends more money. So they've got a problem in the House trying to pass this bill because nobody actually wants a massive transfer of wealth from the middle class and the poor to the billionaires. And my hope is that they don't pass that bill tonight and they rethink this really disastrous plan to cut health insurance for American citizens in order to give tax giveaways to their wealthy friends.
In a recent CNN poll, Senator, nearly 3/4 of Democratic voters say your Democratic Party isn't doing enough to oppose President Trump. Is your party doing enough to fight back against Trump? What should they be doing differently?
Well, I think what you've also seen during that time is Donald Trump's approval ratings plummet. Fewer people think that he's handling the economy well than at any time during either of his presidencies. People want Elon Musk out of these agencies. I think Democrats are rising to the moment to make it clear what's happening, the billionaire takeover of our government and the destruction of our democracy, because you can't get away with that kind of thievery if there is actual free speech in America. But I've been critical in the past of Democrats who, don't believe in speaking up every day. There has been some theory of the case that we should maybe fight occasionally, we should reserve power. I think Donald Trump floods the zone, and I think we should flood the zone. I think every single day we should be talking about the corruption. Every single day we should be talking about the billionaire takeover of government. And I think if we do that, we will convince the American public that this is the alarm, the red alert moment that many of us believe it is.
Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut, thanks as usual for joining us.
Thank you.
And coming up, the dramatic moment today at a Chicago airport when a Southwest airplane nearly collides with another jet as it was trying to